Good day, everyone. On behalf of my co-authors, I am Nino Jasmar Mecha, and I will be presenting our study entitled Initial Checklist of Marine Fauna in Banwa Private Island, Roas, Palawan, Philippines. Philippines is an archipelagic country in which most of the Filipinos are highly dependent to fisheries resources. In 2017, the average seafood consumption of every Filipino is around 40 kilograms per year. However, the state of the Philippine marine environment is in rapid decline, which when left uncontrolled could affect the lives of many people and the economy. For example, only 5% of the Philippine reefs are in excellent condition, resulting to the decline of biodiversity and increase in the number of threatened species. To address these issues, the government requires the establishment of marine protected areas to conserve the remaining marine resources. However, many of these MPAs are not effectively working, which further worsen the situations. According to Wicks et al., only 25% of the country's MPAs were well managed. The rest are paper MPAs. The good news is some private managed areas are functioning effectively as MPAs. For example, Moritz et al. 2017 reported that island resorts in Maldives have higher diversity of marine faunas with good coral cover compared to the community and uninhabited islands. Another study also reported that after 6 years of effective management, there were an increase in diversity and abundance in reef fishes in 2 private managed islands compared to the open islands. While this study reported that Tridacna gigas, the largest among the giant clam species, are now only found in effectively managed private island resorts and are virtually extinct in most reef areas. In Palawan, the Banwa Private Island, as part of an MPA of Barangay Tumarbong, Rojas, started to prohibit fishing activities within its jurisdiction in 2018. To evaluate the management effectiveness of the Banwa Private Island, we conducted a preliminary assessment of the marine fauna and determined the conservation status of some species. This information could serve as basis in evaluating the management effectiveness of the island. The study was conducted in Banwa Private Island, or BPI, in Green Island Bay, Roas, Palawan. The island is also called Puerco Island. It has a land area roughly 7 hectares surrounded by 1,896 hectares reef flat. The island and its vicinities form part of the Tumarbong Marine Protected Area, which was established in 2007. But only in 2018 that the fishing activities has been effectively controlled through the initiatives of the Banwa Private Island. To photo document the marine fauna, day and night scuba diving, snorkeling, and reef walking during low tide were done in December 2018 and August 2019. The compiled photos and videos were examined and all marine faunas were identified to the species level whenever possible. The Identification Guidebook of Allen et al. 2003, Coiter and Tonosoka 2004, and Randall 2005 were used for reef-associated fishes. While for the non-fish species, we used this following guidebook. The photos of other species were sent to experts for further verification. For the conservation status, several local, national, and international legal frameworks were used as basis. For local, we used the Resolution number 15-521 of the Palawan Council for Sustainable Development that covers both marine flora and fauna. For the national laws, we used the Fisheries Administrative Order number 158, 168, 208 for some protected mollusks in the Philippines, BFAR Administrative Order Circular number 248 for the sea cucumber resources, and the DNR Administrative Order number 2014-15 for marine turtles. For the international, the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wildlife, Fauna, and Flora, or CITES 2019, and International Union for Conservation of Nature, or IUCN 2021 Red List were used. And the results, A total of 231 species of marine fauna were identified in Banwa Private Island. Majority of these were fishes with 132 species, and a total of 99 non-fish species were documented. The identified reef fishes were categorized based on two classes. First is the bony fishes or the class Osteichthyes, where the family with the highest species is under Pumacentridae or the damsel fishes, followed by the Chaetodontidae or the butterfly fishes. The second class is the cartilaginous fishes or the class Chondriactis. Only two families with one species in each were documented in the island. When the number of documented reef fishes is compared to two previous studies in Banwa Private Island, an increase of 42% in fish species richness can be observed in just about 11 months. This increase in the number of fish species could be attributed to the protection being provided around the island starting early 2018. Moreover, the number of fish species in Banwa Private Island was higher compared to the other localities like Batarasa and Brooks Point in southern Palawan, but lower compared to the rest of localities. This variation could be associated with the covered area and the method of documentation. Also, many target and major fish species in Banwa Private Island quickly hid in the presence of divers. Hence, more species were undocumented during the survey. For non-fish species, there were 15 classes identified. Class Dimospongia was the highest with 15 possible families identified, followed by the class Gastropods with 13 families. Under the bivalves, family Cardidae or giant clams had the highest number with 5 species. Among the echinoderms, family Holotoridae or sea cucumbers had 5 species, and family Meriametridae or feather stars had 5 species as well. If compared to other localities, among the groups of non-fish species, Banwa holds a higher number of bivalve species as indicated by the black arrows, except in Tubataha Reefs Natural Park. However, the number of gastropod and sea cucumber species in Banwa Private Island were lower than in other sites. This low species richness could have been an effect of harvesting and habitat destruction prior to its closure from fishing in early 2018. A long-term and effective conservation initiative is expected to revive these resources. For the conservation status, 15 species composed of 3 fishes and 12 non-fish species were considered threatened. The conservation status of blue-spotted ribbon-tailed stingray and blacktip reef shark were not evaluated in the Philippines and in CITES. But in IUCN, the blue-spotted ribbon-tailed stingray has a less concerned category, while the blacktip reef shark has a vulnerable category. The continuous and disappearance of sharks and some species of rays in the wild due to the fishing pressure for their high-valued fins globally are the reason why they have a higher conservation status in the international conservation compared to local conservation. In mollusks, 5 of 8 giant clam species in Palawan are documented in Banwa Private Island. Although some fossilized shells of the largest species, Tridacna gigas, were also encountered and documented, but no live individual was found. All giant clams in local and national are under endangered category. Therefore, the harvesting and trade of giant clams is prohibited in the country. In CITES, giant clams are listed under Appendix 2 and the rest of giant clam species. Appendix 2 means that they are not threatened with extinction, but they may become if the trade is uncontrolled. In IUCN, these giant clam species have less concern category. The continuous local harvest of giant clams made them endangered in the Philippines, which does not affect the global conservation status report, because there are countries where population of these giant clam species are stable. For reptiles, only the hawksbill sea turtle among the 5 marine turtles in Palawan was documented, although a nest of olive ridley was observed in Banwa Private Island. Hawksbill sea turtle has been listed as critically endangered both in local and national laws. In CITES, This marine turtle is under Appendix 1, meaning they are threatened with extinction if collection is uncontrolled. In IUCN, the hawksbill sea turtle is also under the critically endangered category. The variation in the conservation status of the species in local, national, and international laws reflects a higher level of threats in Palawan compared to the global scenarios. The presence of threatened species in Banwa Private Island suggests the absence of disturbance. And to conclude, the 42% increase in fish species richness between the previous and present study for a short period of about 11 months indicates the essential effects of effective fishing closure in conserving fish diversity. And when sustained for a long period of time, this would result to a much higher increase in species richness and abundance, making the island an important seed source for the adjacent marine ecosystems. On the other hand, the variation on the conservation status reflects a higher level of threats for most species within Palawan. Banwa Private alone may not have a great impact, but a network of effectively managed private resorts could significantly help increase the biodiversity. These networks of MPAs could complement the government's conservation efforts in reviving the essential resources for people's survival, for food security, and the thriving tourism industry. And before I end, allow me to thank the ACUS Foundation, Banwa Private Island, and the Western Philippines University for the support. Thank you very much.